Welcome to the Storymakers Podcast. I'm Talina Adamo. Today, I'd like to share an article with you. Am I still the author? What happens when AI helps with brainstorming, editing, and organization? There was a question I never imagined I'd be asking after spending most of my life telling stories. Am I still the author? Sounds like a simple question, but lately it has become surprisingly complicated. If AI helps me organize my thoughts, if it suggests a better transition, if it catches grammar mistakes, if it helps me brainstorm ideas, am I still the author? For many writers, artists, and creators, this isn't just an interesting discussion anymore. It's becoming a source of genuine stress. Recently, Substack introduced an AI detection feature, joining the growing number of platforms experimenting with ways to identify AI-assisted writing. Almost overnight, conversations exploded across the internet. Others worried about what it might mean. But I found myself asking a different question. Instead of asking whether AI can detect writing, maybe we should first ask what it actually means to be an author of something. Today, I'd like to share where I stand, not because I expect everyone to agree with me, but because I believe readers deserve honesty from the people whose work they choose to follow. Every generation faces a new tool. History has a funny way of repeating itself. When photography was invented, painters feared it would replace art. When calculators became common in schools, people worried children would never learn math. When word processors replaced typewriters, many believe writing itself would become easier and therefore less meaningful. Spell check, digital cameras, the internet, streaming, self-publishing, social media. Every major technological shift has arrived with warnings about what would be lost. Sometimes those concerns were justified. Sometimes they weren't. Usually the technology wasn't the real problem. It was how people choose to use it. AI feels like the next chapter in that long story. The conversation has become exhausting. If you've spent any time online lately, you've probably seen the arguments. Don't use AI, it steals. It makes people lazy. It destroys creativity. If I discover you use AI, I'm unsubscribing. If AI helped you write this, I don't want to read it. On the other side, people confidently predict AI will replace writers, filmmakers, programmers, artists, teachers, musicians, and the countless other professions. Some people sound excited, others sound terrified. Meanwhile, many creators are standing somewhere in the middle. That's where I find myself. Honestly, I don't enjoy the debate. I'd rather spend my time writing stories. Even professional writers are feeling the pressure. One of the strangest parts of this entire conversation is that it isn't just affecting new writers, it's affecting experienced professionals too. Many editors, journalists, authors, professors, and professional writers helped shape modern standards of writing long before AI ever existed. They spent years teaching grammar, sentence structure, organization, pacing, clarity, and style. Those same patterns became part of the material AI systems learned from. Now something ironic is happening. Writers are being told that their own writing sounds too much like AI. Think about that for a moment. The very people who spent decades mastering their craft are sometimes being accused of sounding like the systems that learn from work like theirs. Even worse, AI detectors sometimes label completely human writing as AI generated. Students have been falsely accused. Authors have questioned their own work. Professionals have watched readers become suspicious of polished writing simply because it is, well, polished. No detector can truly know how an idea was created. It can only make an educational guess based on patterns. And patterns have always existed in good writing. Clear structure isn't new. Strong transitions aren't new. Correct grammar isn't new. They aren't inventions of AI. They've been taught in classrooms and writing books for generations. As writers, that's a frustrating place to be. So here's exactly how I use AI. I think readers deserve transparency, so here's my process. Every article on this Substack begins with me. The ideas are mine, the questions are mine, the stories are mine, the experiences are mine, the opinions are mine. Sometimes I open a blank page and pour out thousands of words. Sometimes my thoughts arrive completely out of order. Sometimes I repeat myself. Sometimes I know exactly what I want to say, but struggle to organize it into something that flows well. That's where AI enters my process. I use it much like I would use a trusted editor or brainstorming partner. I'll ask it to help organize scattered notes. I'll ask whether two paragraphs should be reversed. I'll ask it to point out repetition. Sometimes I'll ask it to challenge an argument I'm making so I can strengthen my own thinking. Occasionally, I'll brainstorm ideas with the same way I might brainstorm with another writer over coffee. Then I rewrite, delete, expand, disagree, rearrange. Sometimes I keep very little of what it suggests. Sometimes one small suggestion sparks an idea I never would have found otherwise. When everything is finished, I decide what stays. The final decisions are mine. AI didn't live my life. There's something important AI cannot do. It didn't spend years trying to become a filmmaker. It wasn't there during productions that went wonderfully or horribly wrong. It didn't experience the excitement of finishing a screenplay. It didn't sit through difficult meetings. It didn't homeschool my children. It didn't build the Storymakers. It didn't create the Willow Sisters. It hasn't lived my successes. It hasn't lived my failures. Those experiences belong to me. AI can help organize my memories. It can create them. It can help polish my words. It cannot replace the life behind those words. That distinction matters because stories don't come from software. They come from people. Haven't we always worked with editors? This question made me think about something else. If an editor suggests moving chapter 3 before chapter 2, who's the author? If a proofreader catches spelling mistakes, who's the author? If a critique group points out that a character feels unrealistic, who's the author? If a screenwriting mentor tells you to cut an entire scene, who's the author? We don't usually question authorship in these situations. Why? Because the author still makes the creative decisions. To me, AI can serve a similar purpose, not replacing the creator, supporting the creator. The moment I allow it to replace my thinking, my voice, or my creative decisions, that's where I would draw the line. Creativity doesn't live inside the tool. People often say AI will destroy creativity. Maybe it could. If we stop thinking, if we stop questioning, if we stop imagining. But creativity has never lived inside the tool. A paintbrush never made someone an artist. A camera never made someone a filmmaker. A word processor never made someone an author. Neither does AI. Creativity begins with curiosity, observation, empathy, life experience, questions, wonder. No software can manufacture a lifetime of living. My promise to you: I don't intend to pretend AI doesn't exist. I also don't intend to hand it the keys. I'll continue using it as one of many tools in my creative process. Sometimes it will help me brainstorm. Sometimes it will help me organize my thoughts. Sometimes it will help me notice repetition or improve clarity. But the stories, the lessons, the opinions, the experiences, the decisions, those will remain mine. If you've been reading my work for any length of time, you've probably noticed that I think out loud. I wander. I connect ideas that don't seem related until suddenly they are. Sometimes I hand those messy thoughts to AI and ask it to help me build a clearer path through them. Not because I don't know what I think, but because I care enough about my readers to present those thoughts as clearly as I can. My approach to AI. For those wondering exactly where I draw the line, here's my approach. Every piece begins with my own ideas, experiences, and voice. I use AI as a collaborative writing and editorial tool to help me brainstorm, organize drafts, challenge my thinking, improve clarity, and refine language. It helps me develop and express my ideas, but I decide what I believe, what I publish, and what carries my name. The stories, creative direction, and final editorial decisions are mine. To me, AI is a tool, not a replacement for imagination, lived experience, or the responsibility that comes with putting my name on a piece of work. The bigger question. Technology will continue changing. It always has. Some creators will embrace every new tool. Some will reject every new tool. Most of us will probably find ourselves somewhere in between. And I think that's okay. The bigger question isn't whether someone used AI. The bigger question is whether they are honest about it. For me, transparency builds trust far better than pretending new tools don't exist. Did they think? Did they create? Did they make the decisions? Did they bring something of themselves that no machine could possibly invent? That's the work I value. That's the work I hope to continue sharing with you. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe readers connect with perfect grammar. They connect with people. If I ever lose that, it won't be because I use the tool. It'll be because I stop bringing myself to the page. As long as I continue bringing my curiosity, my experiences, my questions, and my voice to the page, I'll still consider myself the author. AI may help me tell the story more clearly, but it will never become the storyteller. Thanks for listening to the Storymakers Podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes about writing, filmmaking, storytelling, and the creative journey. You can also follow along the Storymakers on Substack, Spotify, and on my Talina Adamo YouTube channel, where I share new articles, podcast episodes, behind-the-scenes updates, and resources for storytellers. I recently launched the Beginner Filmmaker Blueprint on Teachable, a step-by-step course designed to help aspiring filmmakers write, plan, and complete their very first short film. For a limited time, you can enroll for 50% off. Use the coupon code FIRST50 at checkout to bring the price from $99 to just $49.50. More than just a course, you'll join a filmmaking challenge and a supportive community of creators who are taking the same journey. Ready to make your first film? Click the link below in this article. Until next time, keep creating and keep telling your story.